Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to TMX Adventures. My name is Lisa Keegan and this week is budget week. This week I'm showing you foods that you can make really simply and easily in a Thermomix, a TM31, TM5 or TM6 without it costing the earth. Actually, all of these are $15 or less to make in your Thermomix. So that is just amazing when you think about it. Now the tools I'm using are cookiedoo.com.au and Woolworths online. Now normally pizza night for us is Friday night. However, our delivery, because Monday was a public holiday, we normally get our delivery from Woolworths on Monday, has been pushed to Thursday. So I didn't have all the ingredients to make the Thursday, Friday dishes earlier in the week. So hence the kids get pizza night tonight and they are super excited about that. So if you haven't yet tried dough-based things, whether it's breads, naan bread, pizzas in the Thermomix, or making those doughs more so in the Thermomix, then come today and I'll show you some really easy tips and tricks as well. Hello Vicky, thanks for saying hi, lovely to have you on. So we make pizza, as I said, once a week. Typically we do a gluten-free variety because it's a couple of my kids can be a bit gluten sensitive. However, I'm going to show you the real deal pizza that you can make and it's amazing. It's better than store-bought, okay? And I know that's a big ask, but honestly, you won't buy pizza out once you've mastered this in your Thermomix. Hey Carissa, lovely to have you on. Now, we're serving 6 of us and I've got growing boys. So we make a big batch and I've actually written this up for the kids so that they know how to do this. And it's actually using Cookiedoo 3.0. So 3.0 gives you the ability to put your own recipes up there, to vary the existing recipes. So if there's ones in Cookiedoo or Recipe Community, you can change them and make them your own. Shortly, we'll have the scaling ability to be able to go, hey, I want double that, half of that, so that you can have a recipe that's right for your family as well. So I did this manually. I typed it in so that I don't have to be the one making or telling them more so the steps on how to make it. So I'm going to go to my created recipes here on my screen, and you'll see here, I've got my muesli bites, which are amazing. I've got the cucumbers from the other day, and then I've got the Keegan pizzas, all right? So we just click on it and it opens like normal if my internet is fast enough to catch up. Oh, here we go. Now I can scroll down, I can see the ingredients, or I'm just going to today go straight to start cooking because pizzas are so easy. 5 ingredients, and as I said, so incredibly cheap to make something quite amazing. So the 5 ingredients you need, and I bet you've got most of them at home, is oil, salt, water. Now yeast you may not have, okay? It is normally in the baking section with the breads and flours, not the breads, with the flours for bread making in the supermarket. But once you get it, you need to keep it in the fridge or freezer. It doesn't like hots and colds and changes of temperature. There are ones in a sachet, but they're going to cost you a little bit more. So you're better off getting the stuff that looks like, I'll just put the jar over. I've transferred mine into a jar, just an old olive jar. But you're better off using this, it's cheaper. The last ingredient is flour. Now when you're making pizza, you can get away with plain flour. However, I don't bother buying plain flour anymore. I use baker's flour for everything. And baker's flour is actually a flour that's designed for bread making. So if you made a loaf of bread with plain flour and one with baker's flour and you let it rise, the baker's flour will end up considerably fluffier than the plain flour. However, when we're talking about pizza, doesn't really matter, right? Because we don't need a massive fluffy thing. This is going to make us 4 pizzas, 4 family size large pizzas. This may not be the size you want, but you can go to pizza dough on Cookiedoo and use the pizza dough recipe as a stock standard, and that will make you 2 large pizzas. You could halve it too, easy enough as well. So first things first, on a guided recipe that I've written myself, you'll see here it says, add to the bowl 450 grams of water. You can see that it's underlined in green. That tells me I can click on it and the scales come up. And on this side, you'll also see the ingredients. So I do have my water here somewhere. Now it's just tap water. If you have cold water for some reason, maybe you're in Tassie, or maybe your water comes out of a fridge because you filter it, it needs to be heated up. So you want to put it on 37 degrees for a little while to get it warm. So 37 is it, not 50, not 60, you will kill the yeast. Just a low 37 degrees. But mine's come straight out of the tap and it's quite warm here, so I can get away with not doing that. Okay, you'll see that I haven't been too particular with my scales. And then it says 3 teaspoons of yeast. Now, I could get my teaspoon out. However, with a TM6, the scales are so sensitive that they will weigh 1 gram increments. And I know usually that with this recipe, it is approximately, now I'm going to confuse myself, 12 grams per 2 teaspoons. So it's about 6 grams per teaspoon of yeast. All right, so I'm going to put into this, my brain is hurting already, 18 to 20 grams of dried instant yeast. Okay, so in this goes. Now, or 22 today. Now, if you don't have a 6 where it goes up in the 1 gram increments and you've got a 10, 5 or 31, just use your teaspoons, okay? So that's fine. Or if you do have the silver sachets, one of those is 2 teaspoons. So you're gonna wanna use 1.5 and then freeze the rest. All right, so there is my first 2 ingredients. I close that down, I click on the side to go next, and now it tells me to keep on going. So I'm going to add to that baker's flour, and you can see the scales have come up again. Click on it, up it comes. Now I wrote this recipe particularly to be able to do it step by step so my kids don't miss anything in the process. And this is actually what I really love about the Cookie Dough 3.0, which I didn't think I would love. You know, it's kind of a hindsight, was the fact that I don't have to stand in the kitchen anymore and help my kids change the recipes that we make as standard. You know, once upon a time I'd have to stand there and say, okay, we're gonna double that, let's double it, and I'd make sure they had to double it. These days, they can actually just match it up. So it's pretty cool to be able to walk away and know that they can do that. So 750 grams of this, and it goes. Now I will be using my Thermomats shortly. Now your Thermomats are for sale in the mix shop, and they are so handy if you are doing bread making because they protect your bench from getting all mucky and dirty, and they're easy enough to wash up at the end. But you can also host a demonstration and get them discounted or free. So free if a guest is ready to buy. What is a demonstration? It's just online. I'll cook. If you've got a Thermomix, we can collectively cook together, and you show to invite 2 people online. Now, I do have a big group event happening. For those of you who are like, you know what, I want to get a host reward. I have a group event coming up on the 27th in the evening. So reach out if you'd like to invite your 2 friends along to a group cook along. They can come to your house if you've got a Thermomix and cook on your machine. However, they could zoom in. So if they are in 2 other states in Australia to you, it doesn't matter because they can watch on as well. So if you'd like that details, do reach out because I'd love to send them through and have you on either cooking or at least watching on with your 2 guests to get yourself a host reward as well. So there's my baker's flour. Next is some olive oil. It says 45 grams. Now I've got to push on it to make the scales come up. And here it goes, in it goes. Hey Chris, hey Denise, how are you this afternoon? What's on the menu at your house today? I'd love to know. So in this goes. My kids just think it's amazing, although they are so confused because, as I said, Friday night or sometimes Saturday night's pizza night. So they're like, why are we having pizza night midweek? It must be the weekend tomorrow. And with the short weeks as well, they are completely lost. Okay, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now just a little note with salt. Do not put it next to your yeast. They do not like each other, and the salt will kill your yeast. So always separate it in the bowl so that you don't have them side by side. It doesn't matter here, my yeast is underneath in my water. There are some recipes though that I've noticed put them one after the other. It'll say water, oil, salt, yeast, flour. I tend to leave the salt, put it in at the end, okay? One other thing to make note of is sometimes I get the phone call, hey Lisa, I've been making my own bread, we really don't like it, it doesn't taste right. Now, 2 things are happening. And the first question I'll say is, are you putting the full amount of salt in the recipe says? And I get an awkward, no, that's a lot of salt. Yeah, it is a lot of salt. However, when you're used to buying store-bought bread, it is packed full of salt, artificial sweeteners, all sorts of things at times. So, and sometimes sugar as well, not just artificial, but I meant artificial ingredients. So you're not getting a true flavor, which is why you need the salt. Salt does amazing things on our taste buds. So do put that in. Now, if it still doesn't taste right, put the salt in. You'll notice a lot of dough recipes have salt. The yeast actually eats it up. So it actually isn't necessarily too much sweetness because it is eaten up. However, it does put a little bit of taste, sweetness to the bread rolls or the bread, whatever you're making, okay? So there's 2 little tips as well. If you've ever tried bread and you're like, just wasn't right, Lisa, that's probably why. Now, on with our lid next. And you'll see here I've actually said you've got to go out to your need function. So the only limitation at this stage with our 3.0 is you can't use the functions yet. So we just jump out of our recipe knowing that it's done, and just go back to home, and I go over then sideways, sideways, and now we're going to go to our dough mode, which I should be able to find up the top here. Little note that I actually want to make mention of today, because I don't think I've ever told you guys this. Did you know that you can rearrange this screen and you can move your icons around? You can. How cool is that? So using the 3 dots up the top corner, which are just off your camera, so you're going to have to trust me, they're up here near that little magnifying glass. By the way, that magnifying glass is your offline magnifying glass. You can use it online. However, if you're ever offline, the Wi-Fi's down, cookie dough's down, and you want to search for the recipes stored in this memory, that's when you use that magnifying glass. Cookie Dough will say to you, I can't recognize you, or it'll ask you to log in again, or it'll say no Wi-Fi connected. So that little magnifying glass up that very top, what is it, left corner, right if you're looking at the machine, this side, it's the one that you search Cookie Dough inside the machine when it's not connected. So next to that, there's 3 dots, and the little 3 dots then allow you to edit your view. And this will allow you to move things around on this screen. How cool is that? I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to go to my dough mode. Oh no, hang on. Let's get out of that. I'm going to go to my dough mode. The reason I'm not doing it is I haven't prepped the family on it. And somebody will inevitably try and use the Thermomix later. And they'll be like, where is that mode gone? So I'm not going to do it to them today. But I will actually do a video for you guys on how to do that in the near future as well. So that's pretty handy to be able to put it in an order that makes sense to you and the ones you use most regularly. Like I do use that peeling mode a fair bit, and yet it's all the way down the bottom of the scroll. So I'm going to put that up the top where I can access it without scrolling all the way down. So that's helpful to know. Now, a couple more tips for your pizza night. I'm going to put this on a 2-minute knead, by the way, but I'm going to wait until I'm off camera and it's going to knead for me, and it's actually going to go, oh, I can put it on. But do you guys remember the other week? My camera fell off, so I'm going to hold my camera. Okay. Now, a couple of other things for the perfect homemade pizza is a perfect homemade sauce. Now, a few months ago, I showed you how to make amazing barbecue sauce and tomato sauce in your Thermomix. Go back and check them out because it's a thing that complements it. However, if you don't want to make that, say you've got leftover sticky sesame chicken sauce or the beautiful Korean barbecue sauce, use that instead. It is amazing, and you just put it on top of your tomato paste. It lifts the flavor. Your family will think you bought this at a local, pizza joint, when actually you've made it yourself. The other thing with pizza at home is less is more. Often we're tempted to load it with toppings, but you know what? When we buy pizzas out, they're not loaded. They've only got like 6 pieces of salami and 6 pieces of bacon and 6 pieces of onion. So go easy on the toppings because you will not get a crispy base while you have a whole loading on top. Okay, that's my second tip. And if you are cooking to a budget, make your pizza night after you've done something with chicken breast. You might have steamed a whole chook, or you might have steamed chicken breast for something else, and use that. Or leftover rump or rib or whatever you've used recently, even leftover roast veggies is yummy on pizza. So don't feel like you've got to do the same old every time. Use what you've got. Feta, leftover feta, amazing from a cheese course. We used halloumi the other day. That was next level. So do, shake it up with what you've got in your kitchen. But this is nearly done now. 20 seconds. I'm going to show you the final product. I'm going to show you what to do. Sorry, I'm leaning over holding the camera so it doesn't hit the floor for the third time. So yes. All right, nearly done. 8 seconds to go. What's happening here is it goes forwards and backwards, which actually stretches out the dough. And you can see here, it's actually getting some serious movement to it. It's the only time we say, do not walk out of your kitchen is when it's kneading, okay? The couple of Thermomixes, excuse my back, the couple of Thermomixes over the years that have had accidents where they've landed on the floor were kneading accidents. All right, don't leave your Thermi. You can see, and that's why the other week, like I'm on a freestanding bench. It's not a kitchen bench. It's kind of like a bar bench, really. And, you can see the wiggle and jiggle this gets. So if your bench is a bit sticky or laminate-y or shiny, those feet can get movement, okay, especially with the shock absorbers in the little feet. So it can do a bit of a bounce, a bit like an upright washing machine. I remember mine at my parents' house as a kid would walk itself out of the square that it belonged, and you'd find it across the room near the door. Same with this, it can, and it might even spin on its spot, but don't risk it. Stay close, it's only 2 minutes. Now let's have a look at this beautiful dough and I'll show you what's done. Look at that. Now my dough is yellow. I use an unbleached baker's flour. Now, if you're using the good old 5 kilo bag from Woolworths or Coles on the supermarket, it's going to cost you $10, $12 if it's not on special. And you know what? It's 50 cents a loaf then, if you're doing a standard 500 gram loaf. Now I do a bigger loaf, okay, because my kids eat so much food. But for most families, you're going to be looking at less than $1 to make a pizza in your thermomix. Hang on, math's wrong. $2 for a kilo, so $1 per pizza. So you're looking at less than $1.50 or something to make a pizza in your Thermomix. How cool is that? So now from here, what do? We put it on our trusty thermomat that you can have for having a demo. Okay, discounted or free. Love this. Keeps everything clean. Those of you who've been following along for a while, last year when we traveled in the caravan, you'd remember, forgot to take it. Biggest mistake ever. I meant to take it, just never made it in. So I love having the thermomat. So what we do now is we flick it upside down. We use the little cog on the bottom. We turn that, and that actually allows the dough, I'm just gonna give it a little shake, there it is, to come out. So you can see it's falling out, and I'm turning that cog, and it's actually releasing that dough. So then as it comes out, and you'll look at that, there's a little chunk left in there. Just grab that out. Use it a bit like blue tack in there. And what I tend to do next is I use my tasty cheese. We don't use mozzarella, it's too expensive. Use tasty. And I now grate my cheese in there if I haven't already grated it. So what that does is it cleans up the leftover dough in there, puts it in the grated cheese, ready to go on the pizza. Now with pizza and breads, if you can give it a rest, you'll usually get a fluffier result. However, if I was making a loaf of bread now, I would divide this into 3 chunks and I'd put it in a loaf tin and let it rise, because it's going to rise nicely in there. What I'm going to do tonight with this though, we're not quite ready. It's only 5 o'clock now. So I'm going to put some flour on my mat. Actually, no, I'm not. What am I saying? I'm just going to do that. You do want to flour this though if you're using your Ovana. So some of you guys have the Ovana pizza oven. It is next level for cooking your pizza. No, hats down, amazing tool. You'll want to be using a whole lot of flour to get that on the paddle and off the paddle, okay? It's the biggest conversation kind of thing I have with people is about getting it on and off the paddle. Flour, best friend, okay? Otherwise, if you're going to use this to go on a tray in your oven, then I'd highly recommend from the mix shop, the rose gold pizza trays, okay? They give you a really crispy base because of the holes in it and really easy to work with. So that would divide into 4. Roll it out to this size, plop it on because it's on the silicone, and because this is really hot, it doesn't stick. Put your toppings on and in the oven, okay? If you like it fluffy, give it another rise before it goes in the oven, and that'll let that crust rise up and become quite fluffy. But otherwise, that's it. So my cost-saving tips are: grate your own cheese, buy tasty, grate it up. If you really must have mozzarella, put a tiny bit in with the grated cheese, just enough to give it that stretchiness. Buy your flour in bulk, okay? If you can find a supply that will, or even go to your local bakery and ask about buying it in bulk. When we had lockdowns in 2020, that was the best place to actually go and get your flour. All right, so that's just another way of getting that, and the yeast as well. They may have fresh yeast, which is certainly okay as well to use in your Thermomix. If you don't want to use yeast altogether, sourdough starter is the way to go. One day I'm going to do that again, because that was lots of fun a couple of years ago to do the sourdough with you guys. But otherwise, pizza night does not need to be expensive, and it can actually be amazing, better quality than you're ever going to buy, because you know it's going to be spot on. It's not going to be soft, it's not going to be burnt, it's not going to have not enough toppings, it's going to be just spot on for you. So give this a go in your Thermomix. I will share photos later tonight. Mine will be going in the Ovana into 4 pizzas, and I will share photos with you of our final product. If you've got any questions about pizza doughs or making doughs in general, or even the pizza oven or the Ovana, things like that, please do reach out. If you'd like information about the big demo on the 27th, let me know. Happy to send you those details. If you'd like to book a personalized demonstration to get yourself a mat or even a bowl set discounted at the moment, do reach out. I'd love to jump online with you and help you get more out of your Thermomix and show those around you what a Thermomix can do to transform their kitchen to be something of more calm, easier, cheaper, all those things as well. But otherwise, guys, take care, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for, I think we're doing dal tomorrow, which is going to be exciting and new for my kids to try dal for the first time. So I hope to see you then. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.